Hello everyone and welcome to week 5, the video explaining the diagramming assignments for this week. This is just to reinforce all the principles you've learned and to make sure you're understanding how things are functioning and where things need to be diagrammed, and then also how to identify the sentence patterns. Again, subjects are in red, verbs are in purple, and when we get to it, we'll see direct objects in green. And then prepositional phrases are in parentheses. So we have students are subject verb, and that's a be verb. And then everything else is modifiers. So we can stop right now and say that this is a pattern 1 because we have a subject and a be verb. BYU Idaho, although it's a noun in this case, is modifying students, telling us what students we're talking about. So that is an adjective. And then we have our prepositional phrase on tracks on the horizontal and the modifier below. This one we have our subject is campus. We skip over a prepositional phrase to our verb, which is a be verb. And then we have an adjective at the end. So we have subject, be verb, adjective as the subjective complement, which makes that a pattern 2. And then we just put in our definite article, and of BYU Idaho preposition is telling us what campus we're talking about. So that goes below campus, preposition on the slant, noun on the horizontal. President Clark is our subject here. That's a title, so the whole thing goes in that subject line. Is our verb, and then we skip to leader is the noun as the subjective complement. So subject, be verb, noun makes it a pattern 3. We put our indefinite article below leader, and well qualified because it is hyphenated is treated as one unit. So that is an adjective modifying leader. In this sentence, we have attitude is our noun that's functioning as the subject. We have 2 prepositional phrases, which we're going to skip for the moment. Our verb is seems. That's one of those linking verbs, so we know it's going to be pattern 4 or 5. And after seems, we have positive, which is an adjective. So we have subject, linking verb, adjective, makes it a pattern 4. We put our definite article and our 2 prepositional phrases. Attitude of students. So this is clarifying which attitude we're talking about, functioning as an adjective. And then we're talking at BYUI is clarifying students. So that is diagrammed below students to clarify what particular students we're talking about. Subject here is teacher, verb is looks, that's a linking verb. And then we have the preposition like. So we have a prepositional phrase here, like a young President Hinckley. And this prepositional phrase is functioning as an adjective describing teacher. So that's going to be up on a pedestal because it is a prepositional phrase in the predicate functioning as an adjective. So like goes on the slant, President Hinckley on the horizontal, and the 2 modifiers below. So you treat it just the same as if you were diagramming it normally. It's just that it's up on that pedestal instead of hanging out down below as we normally see. And then we have our possessive. So with a subject, a linking verb, and an adjective is what this is functioning as. We have a pattern 4. Students is our subject in this sentence, exercise is the verb, and then we have 2 prepositions. So we can stop right there and say we know it's a pattern 6 because we have students and an action verb with no direct object. Then we add our many to qualify students. When do they exercise is what this preposition is answering. So that's an adverb. In the morning modifies exercise. And before school is clarifying more about morning. It's not at 11 o'clock in the morning, it is before school. So we put that underneath morning to show that it is modifying the noun morning. Majors is our subject. Then we have a prepositional phrase before we get to our verb require. That's an action verb. Require what? Anytime you have that action verb, ask your question, what or whom. Majors require an internship. Here's our direct object in green. And so that directly follows on that main line with that kind of vertical wall separating the verb from its object. So that's a pattern 7, and then we can go in and add most is qualifying majors. At BYU, again, is telling us what specific majors we're talking about. Before graduation is a question of time, so that makes it an adverb, goes below the verb, and then we have our indirect article. So pattern 7, subject, action, verb, direct object. BYU Idaho is our subject in this one. We have 2 verbs, will, give being the main verb. Will is just conveying the idea of future tense. So we want to focus on give. That's an action verb. Give what? Give scholarships is what's receiving the action of the giving. It's what's being given. So that's our direct object. And then we have students and good grades left. The students fit in because they're giving scholarships to students. So that is the indirect object. Again, there's no preposition there. So the students goes just on the horizontal with nothing on that slant, but it's there to show that we're connecting it to the verb. And then what are those scholarships for? What scholarships are we talking about? They're ones for good grades. So preposition on the slant, noun on the horizontal, and our modifier below. Students, again, is our subject. We have the same prepositional phrase that we've seen earlier. Consider is our verb. They consider what? Because that is an action verb. They consider grammar is the direct object. There's no preposition getting in the way. It's receiving the direct object of that verb. So we have subject, students, consider is our action, transitive verb. Grammar is our direct object. And then we end with fun, an adjective that is modifying grammar, the objective complement. Then we put in our 2 modifiers for students, and we have a pattern 9. Subject, transitive verb, direct object, adjective. And then finally, we have teachers as our subject. They consider is the verb. They consider what? They consider students is the direct object, receiving the direct action of the verb. And so that's a pattern 7 so far with subject, action, verb, direct object. And then this one ends with a noun, leaders, that is qualifying students as the objective complement. So that makes it a pattern 10. Subject, transitive verb, direct object, noun. And then we put in our 2 articles with the nouns that they work with, and future is an adjective modifying leaders.